guys, it's MadameWario, and welcome to the first installment of Pokémon Talks. This is the partner to my Let's Play Pokemon Snap project I've got going on. So this is just going to be kind of a podcasty type of series where I'm going to answer a question in every installment regarding Pokemon, and I'm going to answer it in detail, and then you guys will have the opportunity to comment your thoughts as well. So this is kind of just like a fun little side series I'm doing while that LP is going on to kind of get you guys a little bit more involved, and I will also be displaying your pictures that you submitted to me via Twitter or Instagram using hashtag TeamKyogre at MadameWario. Again, if you want to enter more pictures, or if you're just hearing about this and you're like, hey, I want to be involved, that info is going to be in the video description, so check that out. So to get started, I've got a question that is pretty legit. I'm loving this question right now. So the question is, out of all the Pokemon generations that have been released, both in-game and in anime series, which is my favorite together? So basically, which Pokemon gaming series and TV series do I like as a team rather than like, oh, I like, the first series of Pokemon and the third generation of game. So anyway, this is kind of an interesting question, I thought, because kind of pulls apart what we typically think of when we think Pokemon. It's like, oh, there's all these different generations, and I like this game, but the original, anime series is the best, and whatever. This kind of throws that on its side, and that's why I really like this question. That's why I chose this question. So I'm going to answer this right now. Well, my favorite Pokemon game series is Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby, which was just remade into Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, which is like the best game of my life. And I can honestly say that that's probably also my favorite when it comes to the TV show. Like, that's my favorite series. I'm not even sure what season that is, because I kind of go in and out with Pokemon. I'm not 100% up to date with the Pokemon series all the time that's on TV, but I will say that that's one that I watched, and I tuned in specifically because I loved the game so much, and then the TV show just added to it. It was like, I thought it was great, because that's such an emotional story and more of a deeper, like, mystery with, like, I don't know, there's just something about that story in Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby that's just like, it really drew me in. I'm going to specifically refer to Pokemon Sapphire because that's my favorite, because I love Kyogre, obviously. But just the whole mystery with the corruption of, like, this historical Pokemon that shouldn't be disturbed, and then, like, this whole loneliness in the game of actually finding this legendary Pokemon. And that's not so much in the remake. Alpha Sapphire doesn't really do that justice as much as I wish it would have, but I still love it because it's almost like a new game. Like, it's almost different. It's different enough to where it's not like, oh, it was not as good as the first one. It's just, like, different. So that's not bad. But the first game, the original Pokemon Sapphire, there's something about it that's very intriguing, and it's that entire part of the game where you're looking for the legendary Pokemon. It's not so cheesy where it's like, wow, this big legendary came out of the sky during this epic battle and blah blah blah. Like, I mean, that's great for what it is. That's Pokemon, but that's not like, that doesn't have much depth to it, in my opinion. I really like the depth that was created in the Pokemon Sapphire game. And that's just like something that I think is very difficult to do in video games. Another game that did that was Paper Mario for N64, when you go to the Crystal Palace in Chapter 7, and any of you Paper Mario fans know that that chapter in the game, which it's near the end of the game, and so is when you find the legendary in Sapphire, obviously, it's very lonely, and there's something about it that, like, it pulls your heartstrings a little bit. Like, it just makes you a little bit more in tune with your emotions, which sounds weird because it's like this game that, it's not even that serious, to be honest, but it just does something to make you feel like the whole package is there. The emotional concept, like the loneliness, the weird, like, oh, I'm on my own. What am I going to do? Like, there's kind of a scary factor to it that's like almost a thrill factor in that way that really got to me. And I loved that from the series in Pokemon Sapphire. So, anyway, when it comes to the actual anime, they built on that, and it was a lot goofier. I mean, there were so many episodes that involved like Team Rocket. I mean, Team Rocket's not even really in the game, but like I just remember that being like something in that anime series. I haven't seen that in so long, by the way. I mean, I'm totally pulling this out of memory from like 10 years ago, because that's not exactly something they replay nowadays. But yeah, that was just something about it that it was so goofy and like built on like the beauty contests and the I don't know, this whole like big historical mystery that was a comical element. It was almost like comic relief in parallel with the game. So you got like the super serious, like weird mystic side of the video game, and then you got like the comic relief in the actual anime series. And I think that was a fantastic parallel. And we all know that the anime series can be pretty cheesy. I mean, like, I will always love the first series because it was the first one, and I was 9 years old, watching Butterfree be freed and crying. So, I mean, that's always going to be like, oh my god, this emotional, nostalgic attachment. But there's never been, like, other than that first one, which is kind of like, I don't even want to count that one because it was the first one. Other than that, there hasn't been like a huge impact story-wise for me with any of the Pokemon games. I mean, Gold and Silver were great, and I'll be honest, I've never played Diamond or Pearl, but I have seen that anime series, oddly enough. I've not played the game, but it wasn't interesting enough for me to like want to play the game. So that in itself tells me something. And I know there are going to be some of you that are like, "What? Oh my god!" But like that just wasn't my thing, I guess. So I'm gonna say that my favorite Pokemon game, which is Pokemon Sapphire, is also my favorite Pokemon series of anime. And just because it does such justice to both ends. You don't have the same exact thing in both places, in the video game and in the TV series. So I'm going to open this up and say, what did you guys think? What do you think is the best parallel? Like, they can't be two different ones, but if you have to pick two of the same ones, like Generation 2 and of the video game and its anime series, like, what's the best? I mean, what would you say? Because I think that's a fantastic question, because that's something we don't really think of very much. We kind of separate all the Pokemon elements into different areas. Like, you have the cards and the card game, and then you have the video games, and you have the anime, and then just the regular old merchandise that people buy not even knowing what Pokemon really is. Like, I don't know, it's really interesting to think of it as a whole package, like what fits the best. So that's going to be my answer for that. I'm going to go with Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby, I guess, all around with the anime and the game. So this was a fantastic question. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you so much for that question to the pimp who asked it. That was fantastic. And thank you for all the pictures as well. You guys are submitting some really creative pictures of Pokemon that you've made and like your Pokemon collections. It's really interesting to see everybody's like different merchandise that they go for and everything. So I love that. I love that so much. So thank you guys so much for listening, tuning in, and checking out some of the pics that were displayed during this episode. And I look forward to more questions in the next Pokemon Snap video and to hear your thoughts on this topic. So this has been Pokemon Talks with MadameWario, episode 1. I will see you in the next episode of Let's Play Pokemon Snap. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.